Okay, so very good evening to everyone, especially to our members from the press, and also just to share that I have decided to go live on Facebook also with my press conferences so that others and citizens can also watch the press conference as it is being held live. Uh, so today, as you're aware, we had a cabinet meeting. And in the cabinet meeting, we had 10 agendas. And out of these 10 agendas, most of them were routine agendas in terms of uh, regularizing certain aspects of certain service rules, which needed to be uh, amended. There were four of them, and these are just routine amendments that are required to be made. Otherwise, as you're aware, that the departmental promotions are stopped, and that becomes a problem. And hence, these amended rules have to be in place. So the four rules, service rules, which were amended today was number one, the Meghalaya Accounts Service Rule 1996. The second one was the Meghalaya Local Fund Audit Service Rules 1996 of the principal rules. And then was the amendment of Rule 5 of the Meghalaya State Electricity Regulatory Commission rules 2003. And the fourth rules that were amended today were the Meghalaya Food and Civil Supplies rules 2001. As I said, these are basically just basic amendments made in order to incorporate certain OMs. In some cases, certain wordings have to be changed, nomenclature has to be changed. In some cases, because of certain decisions made by the cabinet, certain changes have to be made in the rules to comply to those decisions made in the cabinet. So these are just routine amendments that were required in these four service rules, which were done. Also, we have there was a proposal for the director, post of director for the Scenic Welfare Meghalaya. As you know, the incumbent Colonel Rai is his term is getting over, and hence there was a selection committee which is headed by the uh, chief secretary, and there were four names that had come in, or four applications that had come in for the post of the director of the Scenic Welfare Meghalaya, and the selection committee from there have recommended the name of Colonel Darrell Hopkins, retired, to be posted as the director of Scenic Welfare Meghalaya. Out of the four applicants, Colonel Darrell Hopkins was also the senior most in terms of his ranking. The cabinet approved the proposal that was submitted by the selection committee headed by the chief secretary. Uh, Also, there was a proposal to amend the and put an ordinance to the contingency fund of Meghalaya, and the amount has been increased. Uh, yeah, so the corpus has been increased to 1,000 crores to meet additional demand. Just to clarify with everybody, what contingency basically fund means, it's a provision within the budgetary system of the government, where once the necessary budget which has been passed by the assembly is exhausted for a particular department, it has to be then moved through a supplementary demand in order to spend more if required. And while the supplementary demands are to be passed by the assembly in the session, the contingency fund allows that provision to be used. Now, this does not mean that we have contingency fund that comes in and we increase the amount in the terms of the cash flow. The cash and the money is already available for expenditure. But because provisions are not there within the budgetary provisions, since the budget was passed by the assembly, we need to move to the contingency. And even now, as I said, since we have cash available for certain expenditures, the provisions have to be created, and hence the contingency limit has to be increased for us to be able to go ahead with those expenditures. And hence, this particular provision was incorporated, and an ordinance has been brought in to increase the contingency fund provision and raised it to 1,005 crores. Uh, the Again, another very routine matter, as you're aware that the GST Council has, in every council meeting, amendments are made to the GST provisions. And as per the provisions that are cleared in the GST Council meeting, the states who are members in the GST Council have to amend their own states Meghalaya Goods and Service, I mean, their own states Goods and Services Tax Act. In our case, the Meghalaya Goods and Services Tax 2017. They have to be amended through an ordinance to incorporate the changes that are made by the GST Council, and all state governments have to do this. And hence, there were certain changes and adopted in the GST Council meeting, which were now incorporated, and this ordinance was brought in to regularize those decisions made by the GST Council in our own Meghalaya Goods and Services Tax Act 2017. Um, Also, we had a decision today. There is the implementation of the Swachh Bharat mission is, as you're aware, Swachh Bharat Mission Plus, Grameen Plus is going on. And in that, because of the challenges that are faced by the Public Health and Engineering Department, since the PHE department is also implementing the Jal Jeevan program, and because of the shortage of manpower to implement the Swachh Bharat Mission Grameen Plus. The decision was made today by the cabinet to transfer the implementation of the Swachh Bharat Grameen from PHE department to the CNRD department. This is being done because of two, three reasons. Number one, the CNRD department has the manpower at the grassroots level to implement the project, and this has been discussed with CNRD department. Number two, most of the states in the country are doing that even today for the same reason that CNRD department of respective state governments have the necessary machinery and manpower in the CNRD department to implement the Swachh Bharat Grameen program in a much faster and better manner. And number three, in a recent review meeting that was held with Jal Shakti Ministry, the minister and the secretary and government officials of Government of India have suggested to Government of Meghalaya to also shift the implementation from PHE to the Swachh Bharat mission. So it's to the Community and Rural Development Department. It's just the same thing, same project. All the aspects are same. It's just that the implementing agency will shift from PHE now to CNRD. The last decision that was made today, if you can just maybe draw your attention to the screen. So, as you can see that Meghalaya today, we have, if you see the yellow section there which says SHG, SHG, that is the number of SHGs that we have today. That's 51,674 self-help groups are there in the state. That number used to be about 4,000 in 2018, and today we are at 51,674. The members used to be roughly around 30 to 40,000 in 2018. Today we have 5,20,000 177 members. That's the last column. And if you look at the top left number out there, which shows the SHG currently has a capital cash flow of 1,000 crores in the rural economy. So this is money that's floating within the self-help groups in the 1,674 groups. That number of 1,000 used to be approximately about 30 to 40 crores in 2018. So that fund that revolves around the SHGs has increased from 40 crores today to over 1,000 crores. Now, I'm giving this background to explain to you the reason why we have taken this decision in the cabinet. And we have decided today in the cabinet to uh, open up a cooperative society, an apex cooperative society of the women's self-help groups for financial services. And we are planning to call it Pla Thanka. So Pla is bag in Kasi and Thanka is cash in Garo. So Pla Thanka Cooperative Society, which will act as an apex cooperative body of the SHGs for financial services. What this does basically is to allow more access of funds through again a cooperative model at the top and apex level, where all the SHGs will be free to join this, subscribe to certain shares, and with a certain amount being subscribed in, they will be able to get. You can go next slide. One more. Next. 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 One more. One more. Yeah. So this is a rough idea. So basically, this is the kind of share capital and the amount that we expect will be subscribed by the different self-help groups. And as they subscribe into this and they deposit certain amount, they will be given access to funds, 5x or 10x of the amount that is deposited by them. And the benefit of this is, of course, that the cash will be more readily and easily available rather than them having to search and apply to cooperative banks or to other commercial banks, which then delays the entire process of them working. So, this will allow and act as a financial corpus and a financial mechanism and a system that will be meant specifically for these self help groups. This is being done in big states like Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana. And Meghalaya today is now the fourth state to come up with this model. And this is again in line with our commitment, which we had made in the cabinet retreat that we had in Sora, where we had mentioned that we would like to see not just Lakpati Didis or Lakpati Kongs or Lakpati Abis, but we would also like to see that they become millionaire, which is 10 lakhs in terms of their revenue and annual turnover in a year. And that can only happen when they have got accessibility to funds like these. So earlier, the scope of availability of funds was limited to the particular VO or the CF that was there, and they were limited to only their groups. But now this will allow all of them to combine and come under one umbrella, and obviously that would mean much higher accessibility to funds and a much larger scale, at much larger scale, and in a much more organized manner. And we're hopeful that this will again act as a catalyst to see the next level of growth within the self-help group movement that's going on in our state. Apart from this, of course, there'll be many other steps we'll be taking, but this is a major step, and we're hopeful that this will be major as a boost to the overall movement of SHG within our state. So these were the 10 decisions that were made today in the cabinet. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. So we have right now 5 lakh 12,000 women roughly. We would like to see that number go up to more than 8 lakhs. And if you can just go to next slide, just one slide down. Yeah. So this is the target. Basically, the idea is that right now there is about 1,000 crores that's revolving, and they are adding 1,000 crores to the GDP of our state in terms of the money that revolves around the SHGs. Our target is to, number one, the groups, we want them to go from 50,000 to 80,000 by the next 3 to 4 years. And at the same time, we expect that the funds that's revolving, which is about 1,000 crores right now, which started off at 40 crores in 2018, today is at 1,000 crores. We're hopeful that by 2028, we'll be able to increase that amount that's revolving within the self-help groups and bring it up to 8,000 crores. That would really be a big game changer for the different self-help groups. I'll send this to you. Don't worry. You can send this slide and that one slide which I had given. Yeah, continuously are auditing. We continuously are interacting with them. We means even I at my level also I meet self-help groups on a regular basis. And this, of course, is one of the challenges. This suggestion has actually come from them, and they have suggested that if there can be a model like this, which would allow them access to more funds. Just to give you an example today, for example, now a self-help group out of the 51,000. Now, if they want to access funds from the bank doesn't allow them more than 1 lakh. That's the limit that the bank gives. So for them now to go to the next level, they're requiring anything between 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs to be able to expand their business. How do they get that? So there's no way for them to get this. So this particular cooperative, so it's not a bank. Please, I just want to share, it's not yet a bank. Right now, it's just a cooperative society, but it will provide financial services to the members of the group. And therefore, tomorrow, if any SHG wants to take a loan, so of course they have to subscribe, and then whatever they subscribe, whatever amount they put in, X, it means about 5 times to 10 times more, they can take a loan from there. So suppose they give a amount of 50,000 rupees, then a loan of say, for example, 5 lakhs to whatever 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs, depends on the numbers. I don't have the details with me right now. So that's what led to us coming out with this particular model. So the financial access to funds by the SHGs and the limitations that are there in today's banking systems, the rules and procedures that are required for them to access that fund and get the liquidity has led to this particular decision being made by us. So those are the challenges that they face. They require offices at the grassroots level to be able to coordinate among their members, which we keep helping them. We have got mechanisms in which we are able to converge with MG and REGS funds. Wherever possible, I give my Chief Minister's Special Development Fund also. So on and so forth, we support them, but we're seeing a huge turnaround at the grassroots level, and this is making a huge impact. We have seen that this is one way in which the uh, the overall livelihood and economic standards at the grassroots level are increasing. Of course, there's a lot more to be done. I'm not saying it's a perfect system, but at least it's far better than what it used to be before. And more importantly, as I said, when they are part of a member of a self-help group, it's like a family, and they support each other. And whenever they are in distress, also the group gives loans and funds to their members. In return, of course, they take back the money with interest, and that's how the self-help group movement moves forward. And they're there to support each other and help each other. So that's what's happening, and we're hopeful that this will be a major step to take things even further into the next level.
So, to what extent is the formation of self-help groups have been able to address the problem of unemployment in the Bangladesh?
It has been able to address to a large extent. Uh, in my last visit, when I had gone to Sora and I had interacted with the self-help groups out there, this is exactly what the self-help groups had told me. And in fact, there were some of them who had given testimony of how the self-help group movement has helped them. And now a lot of them, in fact, were not able to sustain their families, were not able to pay tuition fees or school fees. And now, after the self-help group movement has taken place, they are able to uplift their overall livelihood and standards, and are able to take care of their children, give school admission fees, so on and so forth. So we have seen that to a large extent it has helped. As I showed you the numbers, we have today almost 5 lakh 10,000 women who are part of the self-help group movement. So when we started off in 2018, there were less than 50,000. So it's grown over 10 times, and a huge impact has been there. Of course, as I said, I'm not saying that everything has changed and we have achieved everything. A lot more needs to be done, and we'll continue to work with it and continue to improve it and see how we can provide even better economic facilities to our women self-help groups.
To form one cooperative society, how many groups to be there?
So
So
basically,
basically,
just go up. Uh, Next slide. Yeah. So if you can see out here, so if you see the house, the members, there are 5,20,000 members. These members are all into about 51,000 groups. So that's about 10 members in each self-help group. And each self-help group, when there are few self-help groups, 10 of them put together, makes the village organization, the VOs. And this again is a very, very democratic kind of a system, because from every self-help group, say 2 or 3 members will be members in the VO. So in the VO, from every self-help group that's there, 2, 3 members are there, part of the VO. So we have 5,640 VOs, which means, as I said, about every 10 SHGs, ends up making one VO. Then out of the VOs, then a large number of VOs put together then brings up the cluster level federation. And the cluster level federation, we have 336 of them. So you can make out that approximately again 10 to 12 to 15 VOs make up one cluster level federation. So this is the architecture, organizational architecture of the SHG federation that we have. I'll send this slide I'm sending to you.
Beyond the government.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So following the approval from the Ministry of Food,
Yes.
yes, when can we expect the actual implementation of scientific
Yeah.
code?
So yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I'm happy to announce and inform all of you, which I had tweeted last night, that we have now got the final approval to open the mines. So now the miners are free to. These 3 miners can open the mines and start their mining whenever they want. They can start tonight. They can start tomorrow. It's up to them.
Every election we hear a ritual announcement of resumption of coal mining activities.
Mhm.
Is it not an election gimmick? Now election coming, is the JHS.
Yes, because people ask what's happening to the coal mines. So we have to answer back. So one, you may say it's a gimmick, but then it's a reply we have to give back to the people. Now, from our point of view, even yesterday, as I said, you can see from the press conference that was held there and the updates that I've put, that all the necessary permissions now have been given, and now the concerned individuals who have got the permissions to start the mining can start today, tomorrow, day after, next week, anytime they want. So I repeat again that this entire procedure was very, very, very tedious and very, very complicated, and was highly challenging for us. Uh, Previous governments could not decide on how to move forward, with due respect. I'm not trying to say they didn't do anything of, it was a difficult decision, to be very frank. But we decided to, in a way, bite the bullet. And we went ahead and we challenged it in Supreme Court. We got the stay. We got the ban lifted. After that was done, I can again repeat, we had to go to coal ministry to create special provisions to allow, mines owned by our people to be then mined, and licenses and permissions to be given. So complete new SOP had to be prepared specifically for Meghalaya. Once that was done, then after that, the necessary permissions from multiple departments and ministries of Government of India and state and central agencies and state government had to be taken, maybe 20, 30 of them. And this was being done for the first time. So in every ministry, every central agency, state government, some hurdle, some question, some clarification used to keep come up, because it never happened. So all of this took more time than one could imagine. So now, as I said, final thing with the coal ministry had gone, with all the necessary permissions from all the different agencies and departments, and this is what has been now placed in front of the ministry, and that is what yesterday we got the clearance. As I said, now the miners are free to start. Miners means these 3 miners, not anybody else. These 3 miners who have received the clearance can start mining. So now it's up to them when they want to start the mining.
So is it the open cast mining?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
so
a
it's a
technology.
technology.
Each
Each
one
one
has
is
submitted their mining plans. I don't have the details with me, so I don't want to be misquoted. So they have put in their mining plans. I don't know what the technical aspect of the mining plan is, but that mining plan again has been vetted by the central agencies and by coal ministry, and have agreed in those particular circumstances where these particular mines are, to use that particular technology and mining plan which has been proposed by the miners. So now all the clearances have been given, and as I said, now the miners, they can start their mining as per the mining plan.
So can we hope that there will be a full stop to illegal coal mining activity?
Yes, from the government side, that's exactly what we have been working towards. I reiterate that from the beginning, when this entire issue of coal ban took place, one had to realize, and I again repeat myself, that even when the decision was made, it should have been just and fair and transition based. You cannot stop a process of mining that has been going on for the last 2 centuries and expect people just to stop what they've been doing for their livelihood for past 100 years, 200 years. So therefore, while a process had to be adopted, the agencies that had banned the mining that time should have approached by the process of allowing the people to adapt and given them a time to transit into a cleaner process and given them options. Now this is something that is so from government point of view it's very clear. So you either you provide the miners the necessary permissions and the process through which they can legally mine, or you will find people who they've been doing what they've been doing for 200 years and suddenly you take away their livelihood. So obviously there's going to be reaction, so it's natural. But obviously as a government, since the decisions were made by different agencies, we had to be very strict and implement a lot of provisions. But as I said, when thousands and lakhs of people's livelihood is dependent, obviously it takes time and there is a lot of concern, and it's difficult to, as I said, to tell people that don't do what you've been doing for 100 years, 200 years for your livelihood, and you snatch away their livelihood. So it's not easy. So point being that it was a very difficult phase. And in those difficult phases, we saw, sometimes there would be some cases, some situations would come up, some cases of illegal mining could have been there. These are processes. Wherever we saw it, we stopped it, we took action. But as I said, to completely put a stop to everything is not easy because people were doing it for 100 years. That's why again I repeat. So it had to be really, handled with a lot of care. A lot of push had to be put into ensuring that government would clear our files, a lot of meetings with central government agencies and ministry. So it has been very tough. So now we are hopeful. We're hopeful that with this happening, that we will now see things smoothen out. We will see things now come to normalcy. Nobody wants to follow the illegal way. Nobody. Even the miners don't want to do it. But as I said, since their choice was not there earlier, provisions were not there earlier for their livelihood, they would find some way or the other to sustain their livelihood, and it was kind of a difficult situation for them and for us also. But as I said, now that we have come to this point where the licenses have been given and the clearances have been given for three miners, and they can start their mining even, as I said, as early as tomorrow, day after, provided they follow the provisions in their mining plan. I'm hopeful that this will be the beginning of us seeing the entire sector become more regulated and more systematic, and all activities which are not proper will see things decrease and hopefully close down all kind of illegal aspects in the coming days.
So a lot of concern, it's also been expressed regarding if open cast mapping is visible in a state like Meghalaya.
As I said, we I don't want to comment on whether it's open cast or what kind of technology is being used, because every mine, every location will have a different mining plan, and they'll have to go in a scientific manner, and they will have to take the approval of the competent agencies identified by government of India to approve their mining plan. What I'm saying is that whatever has been approved and whatever will be implemented will be scientific, number one, will be with the approval and stamp of central agencies and government of India, and therefore it's going to be as per the norms and as per the scientific provisions that are laid down by expert agencies as well as government of India.
The survey that you were looking at, you also mentioned earlier that you were taking the help of NESAC to, find those areas where a lot of mining is taking place. We've also seen as a single member committee of Justice Katiki, he mentioned that the state government is cooperating. However, when it comes to implementation, they still lag far behind. Like there's not that immediate where you see, and this committee has going on for quite a while now.
No,
So
now
now,
that the scientific mining has started, as I said, now the process of regularizing things and smoothing things will happen now. These activities, you have to understand, it's not that we are in a small area looking at few people. These are very, very disconnected areas, locations. Satellites give us certain intel on what's happening, but to be able to actually the ground find out, we need thousands of manpower and all different kind of support structure and machinery. So it was a challenge. But as I said, now that the entire aspect of scientific mining has come in, so therefore those issues, hopefully, as we move along, will disappear or will reduce, and we will see more regulated as well as proper scientific mining taking place now.
What's the kind of revenue that the government is looking at uh, once scientific coal mining is
Difficult to say because really we don't know what kind of productions will take place. But going by the past records, the non-tax revenue from royalty used to touch anything between 500-600 crores to even sometimes 800-900 crores a year. So we do expect that it should be at that level or higher, but I think it will be too early for me to comment on that. Let's see how it goes because it's a scientific production, and there could be some limitations. It could take time for them to reach optimum production levels. So we really don't know how things will go. So let us wait and see. But I gave you the numbers which was there in the past. So I'm hoping it should be at that level or maybe even higher.
So, coming to another issue is
So let me get back to the same issue before having so the goal that is being exactly through this scientific mining. Can these three miners sell the gold on their own or it has to be auctioned by Coal India?
No,
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 it's
they sell it on their own. It's their mine. It's their mine. It's their coal. They can sell on their own.
how can the government make sure that the gold that has been extracted by these three miners and this gold that has been extracted illegally will not mix up in the same thing?
Uh, of course, the mines that are there, the paperwork and all will be kept. And of course, we will have people and mechanisms to see the mines and what is being extracted out there, and the vehicles taking out. All of this will be monitored in a very close manner because there are specific mines. These are not like, again, individual small mines in different parts of thing. It's in a centralized location. It'll be a very large mine. These are 100 hectares and above mines. So therefore, it is easier for us to monitor these things. So therefore, I expect that we will be able to, because again, that's again a loss of revenue for the state government. So it's in the interest of the state government to ensure that we are able to monitor, that we do monitor these kind of locations, and which I expect that will be far easier compared to the past, because in the past there were many mines all in small small locations, but these are 100 hectares plus mines in a specific location, which will make it easier for government. The entry and exit of these things will be very clear. So I do expect that it'll be much easier for us to monitor these things.
applications are pending for Google to
I
buy.
don't remember the exact number, but I know it's in double digits. I think 12 to 15 maybe are there right now, which I hope will also now follow, because the first one was the more difficult one. Now that we have learned the process, I expect that the next ones will be slightly smoother.
We made a practical observation. The entire NGT's ban, the approach was wrong because there should have been time should have been given for transition.
Mhm.
That is what.
Yes, that's what I. No, you see, if you look at uh, global practice, there is a concept called just transition, which means justified transition. Now, if you were to look at climate change and CO2 emission, so NGT ban is like telling India that you have to cut down today itself 50% of your emissions, or else we'll not give you any more aid, or we'll not give you this. You have to stop all these kind of things. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to tell India, like, look, we expect you to do 10% lesser by first year. Second year, we expect maybe 20%. Third year, we expect 20%. And by 10th year, you have to stop it. So that's what called justified transition. And that's the concept which I personally feel should have been put out here, where the ban should have been said there is a ban that we propose because this is unscientific, it is affecting the environment, and it affects other aspects of safety of miners. And hence, by there are these steps in this mining procedure. This must stop today. But because of the livelihood and the transition period that is required to be given to the miners, we'll allow this particular practice to continue for 2 years. And then this one for another 2 years. But by the 10th year, there'll be a complete ban on the mining of using the rat hole mining or whatever other mechanisms. That is what should have been done, is what I'm saying. So when you completely cut off some procedure which has been followed for 200 years, and suddenly you come up and just say, well, what you did in 200 years was not correct, so you cannot do it from tomorrow. I feel it's unfair. And therefore, the right way to do this was to have, as I said, a justified transition. We call it just transition, is what I'm trying to say.
Why the government did not operate? It's not on. Why?
I
I that's what it in 2009 I want to by the case Supreme Court.
exactly.
Right.
Why
Why
did
did
I
I
also
also
want
want
to
to
ask
ask
a
a
question,
question,
but
but
again,
again,
political, if I go into those angles, I don't know why they didn't do it. But we did it in 2019. As soon as we came in, we of course took some time to understand, to be sure that we want to go ahead with this. And then when this tough decision came in front of me, where it says that, look, there's a chance you could lose this case, and if you lose this case, then it'll be more complicated. So we went through all the pros and cons. We went through all the aspects. We discussed with many, many legal experts, and then the decision was up to me to decide as chief minister whether we will go and challenge this in Supreme Court. And I said, look, whatever was done was incorrect. Let's go and challenge this. And that decision was very tough. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy. So it looks very easy now, and a lot of people question time and zooming. I understand, but it was not easy when that moment was there, when we didn't know what is going to happen in the court case, how this would unfold in the coming years. Am I going to be making things more complicated? And what if Supreme Court stamps the ban, and it becomes even more difficult for us to come out of it? I had to take a tough call, and then we took the call that whatever it may be, let's go and challenge this. From legal point of view, looks like we're in strong grounds. We took that challenge, we decided, and we went ahead, and that's why the ban was lifted. So therefore, the ban was lifted based on that. But then Supreme Court then mentioned that while you have the ban lifted, you still have to follow a scientific way of extracting in the future, and that's what we started doing by extracting by starting the procedure with talks with Government of India, that we want to have a procedure for us to have scientific mining. Now, the challenge we faced in Meghalaya was the land holding systems were different from the rest of the country. So, where there were the land holding systems, the government of India had for the rest of the states where the land and the mines are owned by the government of that state, in Meghalaya it was different. So when we went and applied, they said there is no provision for private mines to be given and things. So we had to create new provisions for Meghalaya, and that took us many many months. And again, counter applications to be put, more rules to be put. So it was a very challenging procedure, which is difficult to explain in one press conference. I'll take some time one of these days to have your favorite press CM Connect with press of 4 hours, as always. This time we'll do it 5 hours. Um, and we'll have a good time. And I'll like to explain and share the whole thing with you.
So another concern is mining is regarding the 100 hectares of land.
Yeah.
So how is the government addressing this issue? Because coal miners have been pursuing the government.
So
So
you're
you're
right.
right.
We
We
are
are
also
also
concerned
concerned.
about the smaller miners. But as I said, we were at a crossroad where we had to move forward in discussion with Government of India, and we were not in a position to bargain too much. We were already bargaining that, look, the land holding system is different in Meghalaya, and hence the private mines have to be given this. Government of India said it's not possible because it can't be done. Why will we go into private mines? But then we had to explain that that is how systems work in Meghalaya, and that's how the land holding system is, and we have to move forward in that. My point being that there were too many conditions and too many areas which were of great importance, and we had to move forward. And hence, I did not have the luxury to bargain with Government of India on too many fronts. So when this issue came up of 100 hectare, when I opened the subject, this 100 hectare is again a norm throughout the country and the Government of India's policy. Now, coming out with the provision and reducing it to 10 acres was another bargaining point which I had to do with Government of India, which I felt that if I push for that and I push too many things, maybe nothing will go through. So let me first push this 100 hectare and not go too hard a bargain. And then once this happens, then place my case at a second level, saying that 90% of our miners are small miners. We need to amend this 100 and remove one zero maybe, or remove two zeros. So we are doing it. So it was a decision again I had to take, where I had to decide at that point in time, by putting too many conditions, am I jeopardizing the process and making it more complicated for government of India to reach to a decision? And shall I go for the 100 at least first and then work on something? So we decided, after talking to all the officials and Delhi, of course, and doing some back channel discussions, we took a decision that no, let's not be too much aggressive here. Let's at least start the process of mining. At least let few miners get the license, and then let's continue our work process and try to get the smaller miners. So it was a very difficult decision, but the hindsight, I think we did the right thing. We are at least now at that point where at least mining is now open. Scientific process has started, and three miners now have got the permission to start their mines. Now the
Now the
next
next
step
step
for
for
me
me
starts
starts.
is to get the smaller miners also on board.
So, another issue, there are other issues also.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So, 30 to 40 million year old fossil was stolen from Ghanaian background, South Carolinians. So, what the government is doing next? What is the
It's a
it's a
very sad and unfortunate situation. As I said, we had challenges because in the initial stage, because that area, the Akhang and the land and Nokmas, it's under them, and so it was very difficult for us to kind of, you can say, completely take over that area, because it was traditional land and owned by the Nokmas and Akhang and all, and that would become a complicated issue, and government would be blamed again for forcefully trying to take over certain lands. So we only were able to provide security to a certain level, close the gates and the accessibility to that location, and request the local people not to disturb till we are able to bring and create a setup of the geological survey and other officials, and put up their base there, because that was the demand of the people, which of course was complicated because getting a whole setup takes a bit of a time. We never expected, to be very frank, that this kind of a situation would happen, but it has happened, and now, if I'm not wrong, there's an FIR that has been lodged and inquiry is being done. Uh, let's hope that we're able to retrieve some, and even now we will continue the whatever the process of geological survey is still going, because I feel that we should not just stop here. Maybe there is more fossil that is available there, so geological survey will think, and I hope then villagers will now allow the state government to have a more presence, I should say, in that area, because earlier, as I said, when we tried to intervene, there was a lot of public reaction, and so we had to step back. But then now I hope with this unfortunate incident happening, there will be a bit more cooperation, and we will see how to work together with the local people, and hopefully convince Geological Survey that they should continue the process of excavating, examining these very, very important locations where maybe there's a lot of information data that can come out. So
so
that's
that's
the
the
situation
situation
now.
now.
So we're hopeful, and we're hopeful that the police will be able to maybe hopefully retrieve and find the people who are responsible for this.
Recently, Uttarakhand became the first state to implement the Uniform Civil Code, and Assam has said that it will follow suit. So what about Meghalaya, sir? You have maintained in the past that it goes against the spirit of India. What's
No,
No,
I repeat, it is very important to know what means what this entire thing is about. Uh, there are two parts to it. One is the concept itself, that uniform civil code, the whole thought process of what a uniform civil code is, and then a bill or an act that defines what is in uniform and what is not uniform. So these are two different things which you have to look at. You cannot put both together. Why? Because a uniform civil code as a concept of making sure that everything becomes uniform is not possible in India, because again there are tribal communities, there are different kind of communities, indigenous communities who have their practices, and it may not align with the government with the other communities and the uniformity that maybe some people would want. So therefore, that concept to impose it on every aspect of life and every community and everything uniform may not be possible, because it's not correct, as I said. But uniform in certain aspects and keeping certain communities out, like for example Uttarakhand has clearly mentioned that tribal communities and their practices are not part of the uniform civil code in Uttarakhand. So like that. So now if you bring a bill that as I keep repeating, at the national level or at the state level, and say that that the whole country will become matrilineal from now on, I think Meghalaya would support that bill, because we are matrilineal society. So it depends on the content of the bill, what is going to be uniform, in what way it's going to be uniform. So it's premature for us to talk about that. For us, as a state government, we are very clear that uniform civil code is not in our agenda to bring in a uniform civil code. We respect the secular fabric of the state, we of the country, and in the state. We respect uh, the identity of our different tribal communities, and we are very clear that the protection of these uh, practices of the different communities must be respected.
Well, any update on the border talks? Not yet, because it's
Not been able to move forward. Come on, I'm still waiting. Huh? Lock the
lock the
doors.
doors.
So anyway, so
So
next
next
time,
time,
again,
again,
I
I
have
also just
decided that I'm not going to have this weekly thing. Huh? I'm going to have it once in 2 weeks. And yeah, that's better. And I'll have good presentations, three, four. I'm going to go on live on Facebook on that also. I'm going to put the presentations on my website, so you can download those presentations. And not just you, any public can download those presentations. This live, which I put on Facebook, also will be recorded, and the episodes will be there. It'll be available on Hello Meghalaya. It'll be available on CMO platform. It'll be available on Conrad Sangma platform. So we'll put this up so that it becomes all recorded. And if people want to go back to the information and data, they can always go back to the recordings. So I thought I'll make that, I'll use technology also to bring in. And again, when those things happen, we'll be able to then spend more time. So I was thinking, 2 hours is good, 2, 3 hours, 4 hours. We'll give good presentation with everything. And number two, also, since we cannot meet, you guys, you want to just meet in the middle of the hallway, and all these things becomes difficult. And I understand sometimes you need, information for your, quick bites. If you can create a system, where you can send those questions, and then I'll just create a bite and I'll just send it back to you guys. I'll use that. So it'll be simple, easier. So you can just send those things. So when it's something very emergency, and we'll see, maybe somebody from the media team will coordinate this. So Andrew, you just can figure out how to do this and get the questions. I have no problem. The problem is that when it's unscheduled. So I'm going here and there, and suddenly think, it's very difficult for me. It's not that I don't want to answer your question, I don't want to meet you. It's not that. It's just it's difficult because I've got a routine that I need to follow, reviews, meetings, cabinet, this, that, and I don't like to be late. I think you know that by now.
It's always
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that I'll make that video statement. So somebody will just take it on video and send it to you. That's it. So in a group, in that WhatsApp group, if anybody has questions, you say this question, please ask CM to make comment on this. That's it. I have no problem.
One question. After the end of the press conference, I need your small greetings regarding the anniversary of Northeast 7.
So this one you can send.
Okay, I've got a review now.
This one you are sending.
Only two slides though. I'm going to send this slide and just go just this slide and just go back. There's one more. Yeah, yeah. No, second one. Yeah, this slide. There's this slide, and then but you have to change the name. It's the Kong is not there. It's just Pla Tangka.